Okay, so Lumiere is now out in Black Clover Mobile, and we gotta cover his build video. And I think a lot of people are being very negative about Lumiere when we have to consider him with Sekre because that's gonna beat his best team, and that's kind of how these work, right? When you compare a unit, you always look at them at their best. And I mean, if you are critical of Lumiere, you have to be critical of what is, I'd say, considered probably the best unit in the game at their time, just in general. Made the most money, hypest, and was definitely the strongest, and that was Black Asta. And guess who he needed? Witch Queen. Wow, would you look at that? And when he comes back into the meta, when his Scope H2 comes out, guess what he's gonna need? Witch Queen, probably. Maybe I'm wrong. But Lumiere, let's go over his full kit. All right, we're gonna start with the skills and then go our way around the block. And let's just go into it. So basically, I'm going to start with the passives because it only makes the most amount of sense, all right? So the unique passive is if you're the only light typing, you get Wizard's King Dignity for 2 turns, and then you also get Invulnerability for 1 turn, right, at the start of the battle. So that's what you get, Wizard's King Dignity and Invulnerability. Now, I'm going to call it Wizard's King, or Wizard Kings, right? It gives a 50% crit damage increase, which seems to be multiplicative. So very quickly, I need to note that the Wizard King's Dignity is actually just an additive buff, as it was confirmed by the support that it is additive and not multiplicative, which makes this much worse. Okay, so I'm gonna basically have to cut out any part or just add this in, saying that yeah, no, this is additive. So instead of it being 200 multiplied by 50% equaling 300, it's 200 plus 50 equal 250. So this is why his damage might feel a bit lower, because multiplicative for me would mean 228, and this would be like about 350. About with everything else, I'd be at 350, but now I'm at like 300. So it's like, yeah, you are losing a good amount of damage because this isn't multiplicative. But I think the damage some people have seen may lead them to believe it's not multiplicative. I don't know, should be multiplicative, but nothing confirms it or denies it, right? Now, as for the dupe 2, if a barrier is granted itself, you get 10% damage reduction. Now the dupe 5 is when you land a crit, you get a 50% barrier based off a magic attack, and he only has magic attack. Keep that in mind. Now, what's important to note is that you can only get 1 barrier per attack. I thought it was multiple, and then other people ended up thinking of that also, but I apologize, right? I must have misread it, and it's only 1 barrier total, even if you crit 12 times, right? Very unfortunate, would have made him way better than he is right now. Like, it's crazy to think how good he is and how good he could have been. Like, he's already good, but that would have made him even crazier, right? So now with this in mind, skill 1, you get a guaranteed crit if Wizard King's Dignity is on you, you just crit. It's good. It's good. It is good. The skill 2, AoE, just guaranteed crit. Same thing. Wizard King's Dignity, boom, crit. And then for each enemy that is hit with a crit, so basically every person alive, because you're always critting with this in most cases, 25% mobility buff, which means you could get up to 100% mobility from this. Now, what's very good is he completely kills Black Divider with this, and I've used him multiple times to just wipe Black Divider without even a second thought. And that is ammo immunity AoE. Doesn't have to be Black Divider that you're targeting. It's an AoE buff, or debuff, I guess. Now, depending on how many allies are alive, SP plus 1, which usually is going to give 3, because essentially how it works, everyone but you is 1 SP, and then you also get an extra 1, so it's 3 plus 1. 1 because you're type advantage against someone on the team, right? Because it's AoE, and Lumiere's type advantage against at least 1 person on the team, because the arc units are the only people he's not type advantage against, and there's not even 4 dark units, right? So, when you're type advantage and you attack someone, then you get 1 SP. So in total, this gives 4. So it's a very strong AoE, very, very strong. I've wiped teams with it, but I mean, could you say it's lacking damage? Maybe. Now the alt A is going to be Wizard King's Dignity, all right? You reapply it, okay? And then you get a guaranteed crit. So all of his 3 skills get a guaranteed crit if he has WK on him, and then he gets it for 2 turns again. Besides that, he applies ammo immunity 2, which is basically say bye-bye Black Divider, and then he gets an extra turn upon defeating an enemy. Weak, very weak, because this ult is rarely killing enemies, right? He barely has damage increase besides the crit damage and the fact you're always critting. It's a bit of a weak design to add the extra turn because you barely get this, right? You really barely do. And the problem with extra turns is you waste the Wizard King's Dignity way too quick with it, right? Because it only lasts 2 turns. So man, I'm not gonna lie, I was praising them for how they did Wizard King's Dignity on this unit, but it's like as bad as on Fuego. Well, nerfed Fuego obviously, but buff Fuego, it's going to be a bit better for him. But it's like these buffs are like, they don't last enough, I feel, right? They should be, especially for Lumiere, 24/7 uptime, but it's usually not, right? But yeah, besides that, combo is a barrier. I think this is the worst part of his kit. It just doesn't really matter for him, if I'm being real, so that's the main thing. Now, honestly, in terms of dupes, not the best, right? This is one barrier you're going to get at a time. I don't really like it too much. The dupe 2 is decent. If you want to run Sekre and Charlotte with them, then yeah, dupe 2 is pretty good. He's going to be tanky as shit if you have him at dupe 2 with a Charlotte and a Sekre. But you need Sekre max dupe, okay? To make use of these, you need to have Sekre max dupe. Max dupe obviously works decently well, but it's not anything crazy. He still died pretty easily. So let's check his stats. What does he get? So he is getting 3,000 magic attack, 25% crit damage, 25 accuracy, and weirdly enough, 1,000 defense. He's at 103 speed, which is not really hurting him. 108 now because +2 from 125 and +3 from talent. So +5, right, total. But overall, I'd say his kit is pretty good, okay? That's my final opinions of it. I'm not really going to go too much into it yet. Gonna make more videos, etc, etc. But it's like, should you dupe him? I'd say it's only if you really plan on using him for a while with Sekre and if you plan on max duping Sekre. Now, as for his skill page, this is his best one because it adds the SP, but then it also gives him the speed when he lands a crit. Now, low key, if you want to go for damage, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, you could dead ass put this skill page because when you're above 50% HP, you get up to 50% damage increase from this. Like, that's how they buffed it, right? They just buffed it. This is probably the biggest thing that they buffed the base units. That one works. You could put Astas, but I don't think it's multiplicative, so there is that. Besides that, what else? You could also go for like just a normal all attack one or Black Dividers, 30% damage increase all time. Could help Lumiere if you don't care about the speed, which I'm realizing the SP is important though. That's what you have to make very clear. The SP is very important for him. The rest, it's okay, I guess. The SP is good, but the speed is like meh. I'd say it's meh. There's not really many units, skill pages. So it's like all attack skill pages, like this one, just all attack, or you could use this one, or you could use this one, or obviously Lumiere's is just the best. I mean, not really much more to say there. Now for talent build. I would go for skill 2 and accuracy. If you want to put debuff, go ahead, but I'd go for skill 2 accuracy. On top, magic attack, crit damage, okay? And then here, I'd go for HP and defense if you can. If not, I'd go for these two, right? If you have a shiny one, though, I just got lazy, but I'd put these two. I'd put defense and HP. Those are the two that I would personally put. Now, besides that, in terms of the actual stats, for here, I'd put crit damage, and then after magic attack if you can, to have both. Then here, I would probably put HP and then speed. And then here I would put defense and then damage res. Okay, that's like the way it would go. So in terms of everything, that's basically everything there. Now, as for gear, I have this set on him. Now, we also, there's two ways to build this. Now, if you're free to play or like not really putting too much effort into it, then yeah, you could definitely go for this build because you get the extra stats from getting the set bonuses. And these are the only two sets you would run on him. Okay, attack and crit damage. These are the only two sets you would run on him. Now, it seems that these are not multiplicative like the, what's it called? The Wizard King's Dignity. So it does seem like just putting squares is the better thing to do. All right. So just going for 9 squares in general will be working much, much better for people because the fact that, well, it doesn't really matter and you could get a bit more from this. So it's really up to you which one you do. But since the fact that the rectangles are not multiplicative, if you're able to min-max every single one, you'll probably get very minimal increases. But in general, rectangle or square can net basically relatively similar things. For a lot of people, it's easier to do less pieces, so I do the rectangles. I recommend more so the 2-set rectangles with the attack and crit damage. That's what I would recommend. But then, like I said, I myself will probably be sticking towards running just the squares. it would look something like this. All right, so you do see that my crit damage essentially right now is higher. My magic attack is probably about the same as it would have been because this is an additive buff. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it should be a bit higher right now. And you kind of want to go for magic attack, crit damage on every single piece. So the best piece is crit damage, then magic attack together. Okay, you put those two together. Then after it's accuracy and then flat magic attack. So a perfect piece would be this. This is a perfect piece, essentially. You get magic attack, crit damage, and then you get accuracy, magic attack, right? In order, it's going to depend, but I would say the first two are kind of no-brainers. You should always have crit damage, magic attack, and then it goes accuracy, and then it goes flat magic, okay? So that's it. Now for the fifth stat, the best way to go about it is basically half crit damage, half magic attack, okay? Because now that we know that the magic attack, could be... the crit damage isn't multiplicative with Wizard King's Dignity. Well, that means you could put some into magic attack and get way higher magic attack, which is going to end up helping you more when he's not in the Wizard King's Dignity to get the guaranteed crit, okay? Now for accessories, you go crit damage, you go magic attack, both stats, right? You go for magic attack percent and flat magic attack. And then for the necklace, if you can, you go for magic attack percent. If not, you go for defense, right? For the main stat. But every single piece should have magic attack with accuracy if you're able, right? Does this one have it? No, maybe I should change it. We'll see. But yeah, so the main thing to take note of is for this, if you have a mysterious or precious accessory for the necklace being a magic attack percent for attackers, then you put it on, right? You do put it on. Either the precious or the mysterious that I have right here, you put this on. If not, then yeah, you could go for defense for now. Obviously you go for it, but if not, then yeah, the best is going to be the precious / mysterious accessory. All right, so what I do want to say is that okay, so you kind of need Sekre in a lot of Lumiere teams. I'm not gonna lie, Sekre is kind of needed, so keep that in mind. If you really want to make full use of Lumiere, you need Sekre. But team number one is this, right? This is team number one. Stun block, okay? And then damage reduction here. So you're going to be looking very nice on damage reduction, almost maxed usually. So keep that in mind. And it's going to be pretty hard to kill, but I'm still going to test this one. But it's just the stun block is very good for Lumiere. Now, next up, Gauche is essentially Sekre. So just imagine this was Sekre. Then you'd have Sekre, Lumiere, Fuego, and Charlotte. Now, likewise, you could also put Vanessa here, okay? And you could also put Mimosa or Dorothy here, right? So you put Sekre here, you have Lumiere, and then between these two slots, you share between these three units. Vanessa, Dorothy, Mimosa, and then Charlotte, right? Those are the, 4 units, I guess, are the 4 units I would put. But you could also slide Black Asta in if you feel like you're being stunned a lot, right? That's another option for you to go for. Now, another team. Do I have any more teams up here? No. Okay. So the team right now that I'm personally running is this. So it's this team essentially, right? This is the team that I'm running, all right? I'm also seeing people run this team. So it's for the stun block essentially that you're running that. But I would say it's a safe bet not to need it right now. One thing is Clover Mimosa, from what I'm seeing, to work right now works way better, but I just don't have the Yule to get her up. I need 13 million, I think. I just don't have Yule. It's sad, but I don't. So you need, it's not a necessity to have a rainbow team, but obviously with Vanessa, etc., you do need it. Fuego, though, could work very well, I feel, on these teams. It's just the damage reduction is a bit lacking. So you're gonna have to, you would have to sacrifice, right, your, Mimosa for res to actually be able to get that off, right? So that's something to consider. But Fuego is going to be looking pretty good. It's basically like the two main molds are either Lumiere Vanessa, Lumiere Fuego, or a Lumiere mono green team, essentially mono green. I like to call it mono green, but it's not necessarily mono green. So it would be something like this. And then this, also keep in mind, if you use Charlotte's combo, this is going to give Lumiere a barrier, which also is going to be in total 20% damage reduction because Lumiere himself gives himself a barrier, right? So that's 2 barriers at once, which could be pretty annoying, but obviously barrier removal is a big thing. So that's why most teams that are going to be constructed around Lumiere are going to revolve Sekre, right? Because Sekre is going to remove silence from Lumiere, going to give barrier immunity to the enemies, which is very good versus mono green, and it's needed to win versus mono green with Lumiere. Needed, okay? The silence is going to be very good versus a unit like Veto, okay? And essentially, you just kind of need Sekre. With the extra barriers, she's going to be helping keep Lumiere alive, essentially. Because it's very hard to get Lumiere, like, to just one-tap Lumiere. It's more like chip, like, get rid of his barriers and then get rid of his HP. And Sekre is going to help deal with that because obviously she gives barriers whenever someone's hit and not killed. So that's basically the way to go about it. Now, you could also go for a, like, very weird type of team in this, right? Triple DPS. I think it could be very funny. This is more of a funny gimmicky team and not one that I recommend you using. But if you want to have a little bit of a little fun, right? He has immortality, and then invulnerability turn 1, and then Charlotte gives damage reduction, and then it could be a bit funny if you have to in pick and ban. I think this could work decently well, but I really believe that for right now, it's like the main team is revolving around this. This is like basically what I'd go around, and you could obviously change Mimosa for Charlotte or the other Mimosa, and then you have Dorothy, who could be Black Asta, and then Vanessa, who you kind of need Vanessa. I feel Vanessa is very important, I feel, for this team, but we'll have to see more in the future with Sekre. Like I said, Lumiere basically revolves around Sekre, which is a bit of a problem if we're being real, but that's just how it is. So yeah, that's basically that's it. That's Lumiere's build. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know if you got lucky or not down below, and yeah, that's it. Bye bye.